So this news just dropped, and if you have a Visa or Mastercard in your wallet right now, you need to hear this ASAP because something just changed behind the scenes that could affect how you pay for things at stores, restaurants, and other businesses you go to. So starting soon, some businesses now have the ability to deny your card and simply say, "We don't accept that type of payment no more." So here's what's going on and what most people don't know is every time you swipe your card at any business you go to, their merchant who processes the payment pays a fee based on the type of card you use, which is basically called swipe fees. And these fees definitely ain't small either because last year alone, businesses paid over $100 billion in credit card swipe fees. So that literally affects everybody. For example, restaurants, gas stations, grocery stores, retail stores, and basically every single business you go to. Also, every card that's used isn't created equal when it comes to the fees charged because some of the more basic cards cost businesses way less, while on the other hand, the more premium credit cards that come with good perks, travel benefits, and cashback and things like that cost businesses way more to process as payments. So at the end of the day, when you swipe a premium rewards card, the business is basically the one that's paying for all those benefits you get back. Now, after fighting this in court for literally over 20 plus years, businesses and merchants finally got some things changed in power by being able to deny those cards that cost them way more in credit card swipe fees. Because for the longest time, the initial rule was pretty straightforward and to the point, meaning if a business accepted any Visa card, they literally had to accept all other Visa cards. And the same thing with MasterCard too, they literally have to accept every MasterCard as a payment form, even if that specific card costs them way more in processing fees. However, moving forward with the rule now being switched up, this doesn't necessarily mean businesses can just straight up ban Visa or MasterCard completely, but they can definitely pick and choose on what type of Visa or MasterCard they want to accept. Meaning, if a certain type of card is too expensive for them to process, then they can for sure say, yeah, we ain't taking that no more. And again, this doesn't mean every business is going to start doing this literally today. But all I'm saying is that for the first time ever, they 100% have that option now. So that alone is going to change how a lot of people are going to be able to pay for stuff moving forward. And I'm going to be real, I already personally been feeling this going on with American Express already because when I recently took a trip to London, I stopped at a small family-owned restaurant. Everything was super nice inside. The food was fire, obviously. And then when I went to go pay, the waiter basically told me that they don't accept American Express there. And at the time, I was kind of confused, not gonna lie, but looking back on it now, it 100% makes sense. Because as a small family owned restaurant, if a certain card cost you crazy fees just to process and get paid, I wouldn't want to accept it either. And after I started doing more research, I found out that's actually pretty normal in places outside the US that if a card costs too much to process as a small business, they're just straight up not even going to accept it. So I feel like we could honestly definitely see this become more popular in the US too. Also, another thing I found out after doing some more digging is that even if your premium awards card is accepted, the business might charge you a small fee when you use it. So these are basically called surcharges, and depending on your state, a merchant can add a small percentage to your total if you use a premium card to basically make up for whatever fee it costs them to use it. So for example, if you make $100 purchase at a store, it might actually ring up as 102 or 103 bucks. Or if you make a $50 purchase, it might end up becoming $51.50 just as an example. And just to let you know ahead of time, businesses more than likely won't mention this beforehand. It'll more than likely be a small line on your receipt or maybe a small sign near the checkout line, if even that. So make sure if you actually use premium credit cards that give you good rewards, travel benefits, and cashback points, you're definitely going to want to pay attention to your receipts moving forward. Now, I already know people might be thinking the easiest fix for this is just to straight up not use any credit cards anymore and just use debit cards only. But I mean, let's be real. All of you probably already know the biggest problem with that is if someone steals your debit card info, they're literally stealing your real money from your actual bank account instantly. So the money you need for bills, groceries, your car payment, and everything else you pay for on a monthly basis could be wiped out right away. Versus with a credit card, you're much more protected because the bank is the one that takes the biggest hit instead of your own personal money. So that way you're not randomly left with an empty bank account just because you wanted to avoid using a premium card due to it may or may not charging you a small fee. So yeah, using a debit card might avoid that fee, but at the end of the day, it 100% can expose you to way bigger problems that you definitely don't want to deal with. And trust me, I know from my own personal experience, and this is definitely a situation that's not fun to be in, especially with how advanced these hackers are nowadays with AI and all these different card readers they come up with. It's just definitely not worth it. However, I did put together some tips so that way you can stay ready and position yourself to win even with changes like this moving forward. So tip number one is to carry a mix of different credit cards. So that way, whatever you have in your wallet gives you multiple options no matter where you're at. And a simple setup is to aim to have at least 5 credit cards in your wallet at all times. For example, try to have a Visa, Mastercard, one American Express card, and then look for a solid cashback card from Capital One and Discover. This way, no matter what a business accepts, you have something that works and you're ready for all situations, whether you're in the US or in a way different country. Then tip number two is to use premium cards intentionally and not automatically. So premium cards are good for travel, perks, collecting points, but they may also come with higher fees and those possible surcharges I previously talked about. So instead of swiping your main premium card for everything, start thinking about using your premium cards for things on big purchases like travel, online shopping, and any other situations where the premium card is actually a benefit to use. Then use a basic no fee card for stuff like groceries, gas, and everyday purchases and places that might not add fees if you use a premium card. So that way, this balances the card usage and fits your lifestyle the most and saves you money long term. Then tip number three is going to be to check your receipts more often. And I'm not saying you have to literally study your receipts top to bottom and question the cashier on the spot. I'm just saying start paying attention to what you're paying for. Because even I myself, I never really looked at receipts like that. I would literally just tap to pay and just going on about my day. But now looking back on it, who knows how many fees I got hit with over the years without even knowing it. So just start being aware of your receipts and what you're paying for because you don't want to turn a blind eye and miss out on fees you might be getting charged for. And then tip number four is to research the businesses you often buy stuff from. So the next time you're at your favorite store, just simply ask a worker or manager and just be like, do you accept this type of card? Or if I use this type of card, am I going to be charged an extra fee? And then see what they say. And then tip number five is just to don't panic, but just start being aware. Like I said before, most businesses won't suddenly start banning cards left and right, but a few will adjust. You know, a few might test out different fees and things might change slowly over time. So being aware and even knowing this is happening puts you in the top 99% of people who don't even know this is going on at all. So bottom line, this isn't about fear. It's all about being aware of changes so you can better be prepared moving in the future. Also, if you made it to the end of the video, drop a fire emoji in the comments so I know you watched the video all the way to the end because that means you're in the top 1% of people who watched it from beginning to end. And lastly, if you got any value from this, do me a solid and subscribe to the channel because this is exactly the type of stuff they hid from us in school. So I'll see you on the next video.